Okay, this next story tidbit is actually somewhat comforting, I think. And it's basically just a description from the Take-Two CEO, Strauss Zelnick. And basically, he came out and he said that he's not interested in launching their future games on Game Pass day one. They're just not interested in it as a company, which some people like were freaking out on Twitter over this, but I don't actually think it's that concerning. And the reason I don't is, or I don't see this as shocking. Maybe I would prefer it if they launched on Game Pass, of course, but it doesn't surprise me in the least. And it doesn't surprise me because, like, obviously whenever GTA 6 launches, every person on the planet is going to be buying that day one full price. Why on earth would they take it to Xbox Game Pass? Like, my understanding of the basic approach and pricing model to Game Pass is that it's built to get your game in front of more people. And in doing so, you have a chance for high revenue. So, like, if I basically, like, if you have two people who would consider buying the game, priced at $60, player one is going to play it. Player two isn't going to play it for 60. It's going to wait for a sale or buy it secondhand, right? Game Pass, the idea is that you'll get both players to engage with the game. And even if the per unit revenue, like say from each player, you end up pocketing $35 or $40 equivalent compensation for them playing your game through Game Pass, that for two players ends up being 80. So you end up ahead of the 60 you would have gotten if it didn't come to Game Pass, right? So the accessibility opens up more people to playing the game and you'll get more exposure. And also the broader revenue from more people playing it will make up for the decreased individual sales. That's the idea, at least. But that's only true of games that don't have mass market appeal day one that are going to demand sales. That's why, honestly, like as far as business is concerned, God of War Ragnarok, for example, or Elden Ring coming to a Game Pass like service doesn't make sense on day one. It just doesn't, because everybody's going to pay for it anyways. So just release it full price. And then if you want to bring it to the service later, you can do that. The difference, I think, that is particularly unique with Take-Two's games, specifically Rockstar's games, is that they never really seem to slow down. Like ever. It's ridiculous. I think they just announced that this past quarter, GTA 5 Online slowed down with its revenue for the first time in its history. It dropped and sold like less than 1 million units for the first time in like years. I think ever, actually. So that alone is crazy, but it shows people are revving up for GTA 6 and they probably need to hurry up and get it out. But all that said, like it's no surprise at all that Take-Two is not interested in bringing games to Game Pass. Xbox would have to write such a stupid huge check. Like we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Why does it make sense for Starfield to be on Game Pass day one? For one, I think it's because one of the selling points of Game Pass from the time they announced it, and it's been part of Phil Spencer's vision, is that you get AAA games day one included in your subscription. I don't think that's sustainable, okay? In 10 years, if Game Pass still exists, I would not be shocked at all if they introduce another tier where it's like Game Pass Ultimate is $15 a month, but if you want Game Pass Ultimate and day one releases, it's $25. Or, you know, if you want to play the game day one, you can buy it for $20 instead of 70, or at that time it'll probably be like 80 or 90 with inflation. Eventually they'll raise the price. It's not sustainable long term, especially when you're talking about like each game costing 80 to $100 million to develop. So eventually they'll change it. But as of right now, Microsoft is eating that cost just to get people to sign up and to try to win market share. And it's working. It's great. It's the same thing that everybody's done for years. Like Netflix was built on this. Honestly, a lot of growth stocks are built on this idea where you can be not profitable, but you are still valued like in the billions of dollars range in terms of value because investors see potential. They see what it could be eventually. So they're buying into the idea and the dream, the vision, even if it's not currently there. And Game Pass is currently one of those types of growth stocks or growth companies where it's been structured in a way where it's being designed for what it could be. What it is right now probably isn't that profitable. I think Phil Spencer said it is profitable, but it's not where we want it to be, and eventually we'll raise prices. That to me says we're not like losing money on it, but it's not generating revenues and profits high enough to like justify the trouble. We need to increase it. Eventually they'll change it. But I think honestly, when they change it is probably around the time that Activision Blizzard comes through, and maybe one more acquisition. But like Activision Blizzard is the big one they're trying to push through. If they actually pull that off, I think all bets are off. And at that point, they can raise prices, specifically with Call of Duty. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they try to buy up EA or something. Buying up EA would be the big question mark. I don't think they'll buy up Ubisoft because Ubisoft, I think, is tying themselves to China. So I don't think, and being owned in large part, I think 15% of Ubisoft is owned by the Guillemot brothers, which is a pretty big chunk as far as corporations are concerned. I don't think they're going to be passing it off anytime soon.